put it on YouTube as well.
Alright.
I've started uploading the videos on YouTube. So I've changed the name of the YouTube channel to Lens Grad Coach Solutions.
Okay.
If you go there, you will see the videos there. Okay, so we had an assignment to come up with topics. Read what you had for me.
Exploring the influence of transformational leadership on organizational innovation and management success.
Exploring. If you take off the exploring, what will happen? Because it is connoting the type of thing that we are doing. What are the key concepts in the topic?
Transformational leadership,
Transformational leadership,
team management
team management
success,
success, transformational leadership, team management, change management. Don't bring the success. We are correcting you. So transformational leadership, change management, and what?
transformational leadership, then organizational innovation.
And organizational innovation. Which context? Among where?
Like in, okay, let's say the production sector.
In manufacturing firms, or among SMEs, or in educational sector. You must be able to tell us the scope. Okay. Go to the sector. Educational sector in which country?
Okay, in Ghana.
Good. Next one.
The role of emotional intelligence in effective leadership and team performance.
So why don't we just go straight? Emotional intelligence, team leadership, and what? You said emotional intelligence,
In leadership effectiveness.
leadership.
Effectiveness.
Don't forget about the effectiveness. Leadership and what?
Team performance.
And team performance. In which context? The last one.
The impact of remote work policies.
All those things I told you not to talk about them. The impact.
Yeah.
So you talk about
Remote work policies on employee productivity,
employee productivity,
satisfaction, and organizational performance in the post pandemic era.
pandemic era. Great.
Yeah.
Which industry?
Okay, I'll use a manufacturing sector.
Okay, no problem. But these issues must be relevant in there. But this is workplace what? Remote working policies. EPD is what? Employee productivity, job satisfaction. OPD, yeah. Organizational performance.
Sure.
Wow. We are bringing some dynamics. Some of them can be measured at the individual level, some of them can be measured at the organizational level. Check. So, what will happen if you take this one off? So, we have the remote working policies, job satisfaction, and employee performance in a post-pandemic era, in the manufacturing firms in Ghana or something. Okay. Do something about that, and then let's see the three that you had.
Employee participation in decision making and employee performance, mediating factor of employee commitment.
Wrong. Why are you saying that you have not done the thing that you are saying that it's a mediating factor? Make sure you take it off. Next one. But you have not given us the context. Where?
That mine is in Ghana.
Ghana where? Which industry?
I wanted to
This is. Okay. Put it in the let's see how to reach.
So employee participation in decision making on employee performance.
But you have also where from that on? Okay, you will self-correct yourself.
Okay. Gender and locality of voter turnout and rejected ballots.
Gender
And locality.
and locality
Yes. On voter turnout and rejected ballots.
on voter turnout
Yes. And rejected ballots.
and rejected ballot.
Yes.
Okay.
In Commander Municipality.
Okay, no problem. Why gender and the locality? Do you think that the location, the culture there has implication about your voting,
Yes.
party and all those things?
The gender and the location is also has information.
Okay, gender and age. Okay, the age. Well, no problem. If you go into it, you can get other factors apart from gender and that of location. Okay. What else? That's the next one.
Election violence and willingness to vote in Ghana. A case study of state goes to municipality.
Election parents and
Willingness to vote.
our willingness not to vote. Because election violence is connoting something negative. So it might come with negative outcome.
So election violence and the willingness not to vote in Ghana.
They don't, when you are coming up with a topic, the concept should flow in a particular direction. The other time you saw it, they should all be positively what? Skewed. Or if it's negative, they should all be negatively what? Skewed. Okay. And then the last one, are we done?
Yes. The story that I mentioned. The last one I mentioned.
So leadership style and employee job satisfaction. The role of organizational culture and industry competition in telecommunication industry, that's MTN in Ghana.
Okay. But when you talk about the telecommunication industry, it signals some comparative kind of study. You don't have to look at only MTN. Unless you can establish that the leadership in MTN is the same as those in Telesom and the rest, which I'm sure they may be what different.
So with the telecommunications, I should make a broad
Yeah, I'm just don't focus on only one.
MTN. Okay. 2. Employee training and development programs of organizational performance. The role
Hey, look at it. You say what?
of employee training and development programs on organizational performance.
Right from the home. Okay, continue.
The role of employee engagement and firm size in the manufacturing industry in Ghana.
So, are they all critical potential issues there? Firm size and all those things. Are they critical issues?
The firm size, employee engagement, effective employee training and development programs, and then their performance.
Okay. Okay. Since the training and development is more on individual, I think that you have to look at performance in the light of individual employee performance.
So employee engagement.
It's at the individual level.
Yeah.
So it should be on employee performance, not organizational performance.
Okay. Okay. So organizational performance should be employee performance.
Yeah, they do the training for you. Like after you have gone through this session,
Yeah.
how are you going to perform? You cannot translate it directly into organizational performance. And that's why you are coming up with the topic. You have to look at the relevance and the practicality of it as well. That will help you to able to culture the topic.
And the last one, brand image and customer loyalty. The role of brand trust and product quality in beverage industry in Ghana.
Good. So that's fine. The beverage industry in Ghana is too broad. Can you relate? So we are talking about some brands. So how many brands are you going to pick? Only one particular brand or a number of them?
We'll pick a number of brands.
Okay, in the beverage industry. If you look at the brand that they have, can you mention them? Maybe if you take you Splash and then you say, so if maybe you can decide to take a particular focus on a local brand.
Another local brand.
Yeah, maybe local brands are fine, but other brands we are very powerful and large and everything. Okay. So at least you all have an idea about how a research topic goes. So let's look at how you write the chapter 1, which is the introduction. Introduction. To introduce something means that to make it known to those who are supposed to get to know it. Is that not it?
Yes, sir.
So when you are introducing your research, it means that you are making your research known to your users or readers. Now the introduction comes with different sections. So we have to look at them. And each of the sections is performing a different role. But collectively, they will end up introducing to the audience what the entire research is about. So we have certain subsections under the introduction. Each of them performing what? Different function. But collectively, they will all work together to introduce to the readers what the research is about. So the first one that we are going to talk about is the background of the study. Background of the study. Now, when you are thinking about the background of the study, you don't have to think beyond anything or beyond what your conceptual framework is giving you. So, what topic do we have for your conceptual framework? For the first one that we derived here. Social media. And what? Did we look at other contextual issues?
Yes.
What are they?
Social media multitasking.
That was mediating or moderating?
Yeah, it was mediating.
Social media multitasking. Okay, so
Social media network.
and then
Social media network.
as a moderator,
Yeah, no.
and also as a mediator, social media networking. And the other time we were contemplating about what the networking is about.
Sure.
Okay. So this is your conceptual framework. When you are writing your background, you shouldn't write anything that does not talk about this. You understand? So your conceptual framework that comes out of your research phenomenon is the pillar that dictates what you are supposed to write at your background. You will see that at the centerpiece of the research is the conceptual framework. It will tell you the type of objective that you set, the analytical tools that you have to set, the literature review you have to set, and all those things. Everything covers around what? The conceptual framework. So if you have a well-formalized and acceptable conceptual framework, then that one should be the starting point if you really want to write a good background. So in your background, what must go into it? First of all, you have to know that we have what we call key concepts. Is that not it?
Yes, sir.
Key concepts. So look at this conceptual framework. What are the key concepts that are being considered there?
So we have the social media.
So you have to talk about what?
Social media.
What social media is. You have to talk about what? Social media multitasking. Social media what? Networking and what? Academic performance. So if you are talking about these key concepts in this conceptual model, what do you have to talk about? You have to define each of them. So definition, is that not it?
Yes.
So when you are talking about a key concept, you have to talk about the definition. And on the definition, we have the generic definition, and then we also have the operational definition. The generic definition is a definition that is generally acceptable by industry players in that particular context of the study. Then we have the operational definition, the one that works in the context of the study, because there could be differences in context. For instance, if Ghanaian says that they have a supermarket and an American says that they have a supermarket, are they the same?
Different.
but they all call them what? Supermarkets. So for you to really define what supermarket means, then you have to operationalize its definition. So if you pick social media, you have to define what social media is. But you define it in two perspectives. Either you are defining the general and or what? The operational what? Definition. If you pick social media multitasking, you have to be able to define what it is. If it is different, you have to now come and contextualize it by giving it what we call operational definition. If you pick academic performance, define what it is. Then after defining it, then if you have to contextualize it, you come to what? Contextualize it through the operational definition. So that is the first thing. So definition, we have two aspects. You have generic and what? Operational. And you should talk about all these things. So it means that your background, for all the variables, you must be able to talk about them. Apart from after you have defined them, then you can come and explain them. Is that not it? So the next thing you have to do is what? Explanation. The explanation components helps you as a researcher to bring your views on the subject matter. Helps you to bring your own views, your interpretation, so that you can make things clear, a bit clearer if you compare it with how other people have done it. So you have to demonstrate knowledge in the research that you're doing. You must show people, you must show readers that you know, you understand what you're doing. So once you'll be able to define them, be it generic or very distinct, then you go on to what? Explain them. Very, very important. You should be able to explain them. After explaining them, the next thing is what we call conceptualization. So you have to now also come and conceptualize them. Conceptualization. Conceptualization talks about how or the dimensions of the concept manifest in your research. How the dimensions of the concepts manifest in your research. So the one that we're talking about, social media, for instance, it can have so many different dimensions. So what dimensions are you talking about when you talk about social media? When you talk about social media multitasking, what dimensions are you looking at? Now let's look at something. The one that you are familiar with. You have firm performance, is that not it? Organizational performance. But some of them look at it from financial performance and what? Non-financial performance, is that not it? Even non-financial performance, they can now break them down into operational performance, marketing performance, and the rest, and others, is that not it?
Yes, sir.
So when we are talking about a concept called firm performance, in the context of research, they have so many, how they have seen it, how it is manifested. So you should be able to tell us how this firm performance is manifested, the various dimensions of it. Because some of the concepts, they have what they are called second or higher order constructs. They themselves don't manifest themselves. It is certain things under them that come together to form them. And that is why we should be able to conceptualize the variables. Now, it is not all concepts that have dimensions. Some of them don't have sub-dimensions. So you don't have to worry yourself trying to conceptualize them. But those that have sub-dimensions, we tried what? Conceptualizing. Now let me show you an example. I was doing a research on supplier development. Then in the supplier development, I came across that people have seen it in different ways. That is what we mean by conceptualization. They have seen it what? In different ways. One, the supplier development, some of them say that we can have the direct supplier development and then indirect supplier development. So I read some papers and they were talking about direct and indirect, and we have sub-dimensions of it. Then I went further. I also saw that some people were saying that supplier development, we can have it as proactive supplier development and reactive supplier development. Proactive and what? Reactive. So, okay, no problem. I also went on a step further. And I also saw that the same supply development, people were talking about investment-based supply development and non-what? Investment-based supply development. People were looking at it that way. Then I also chanced on other literature. They were talking about strategic supply development, tactical supply development, and what? Operational supply development. And yet there's another classes of it. So before I could pick which of them to go for, I have to know all the various dimensions. So when we are contextualizing, what we are trying to say is that make sure that you do adequate literature review in a way that will help you to know the various dimensions of a particular concept that you are talking about. So if it is about social media multitasking, how have they seen the various dimensions of it? If it is about the academic performance, how do they group the various dimensions of what? Academic performance. So I have to do all those things. Then after that, after I've done extensive consultation, I settled on using the direct and what? Indirect one. But before I could pinpoint that I'm using the direct or indirect one, I should be able to tell them the various conceptualization that we go about use. So in conceptualizing, you have to make sure that you are aware of all the existing conceptualization of the concepts. How people have seen the various dimensions of that particular kind of concept. Then you come and choose the one that works in your context of study. Okay. So that is how it works. And if you have not done research research in advanced level, you may not understand this. But once you start picking up on some of the issues that we are talking about, you will see. Somebody was talking about leadership. You go into it, somebody will see that leadership, they have the autocratic leadership, they have the democratic leadership, they have the laissez-faire leadership, they have transformational leadership, and all those tools. Those are the conceptualization, the various aspects of leadership that they are talking about. What issue did you bring on board?
Advertisement.
Very good. So advertisement. If you go into advertisement, you will see that they have several kind of what? Advertisements.
Yeah.
Some of them could be social media advertisement. Some of them could be interactive advertisement. And a lot of print, non-print, audiovisual. They have so many dimensions. So you should be able to tell us the various dimensions that are existing. And then you can now come and pinpoint how you see that particular concept in your study. So after I've done all those things, I just came to say that looking at the supply development in the cocoa sector, the direct and the indirect is applicable. So when I talk about supply development, I'm talking about what? Direct supply development and what? Indirect supply development. That is made up of these sub-dimensions. So these are the three critical issues that you talk about, the key concepts. You talk about their definitions, you talk about the explanation, and what? Their conceptualization. Very, very important. And get this formula right. If you get it right, every research you can do it. I'm giving you everything, all the blueprints I have, I'm giving them to you. because every research you must have your concepts, you must know your variables, right?
Yes.
So you have to know how to define them, how to operationalize them, how to also conceptualize them. After you have conceptualized them, after you have conceptualized them, what else do you do? You are still on the background. You will see that you will not say anything that is not in the conceptual framework. You will see you have social media predicting academic performance, social media multitasking, and social media networking. So if you pick any of them, you should be able to define, you should be able to explain, you should be able to conceptualize them if need be for a conceptualization. After that, you have already, so you have done this, is that not it? If you pick one, you have done all the 3 for it. You have defined it, you have explained it, you have also conceptualized, defined, blah, blah, blah. So you have essentially explained them, you have made us aware of what they are, is that not it?
Yes.
Okay. Then, remember, whenever you are drawing a conceptual framework, we were talking about a situation whereby your relationship is underpinned by theory. Do you remember?
Yes.
So, what theory is supporting this relationship? If you do thematic analysis of empirical review, it will expose to you some of the theories that they use.
Okay.
So, you should be able to tell us the theories. Okay? So, it means that your background should also talk about what? Theory. But before we talk about the theory, we use the theory to establish something. Theory is used to establish what?
The
Relationship. So background should talk about also what? Relationship. So your background should also talk about the relationship. So your background should also talk about what? Relationships. And whenever we are talking about relationship, we use 2 main strategies to establish the relationship. I'm making it very simple for you. We use 2 main strategies to talk about what? The relationship. The first one is that we can use the theory. We can use the theory to explain the relationship or theories. Or we can also provide what we call empirical evidence. Okay? You can use the theory to establish the relationship, or you can equally rely on empirical evidence to also establish what? The relationship.
Sorry, sir. I was asking, has Mr. Foley been submitted?
No, it hasn't been here today. So, with establishing the relationship, we have 2 approaches. Either you use the theory or you use what? Empirical evidence. So, if you are using the theory, for instance, you can state that the relationship between social media and social media multitasking is explained by so what? Theory. Then we come and talk about what the theory what says. The relationship between social media and academic performance is explained by so what? Theory. Then you come and talk about what the theory what says. Indirect relationship between the social media and academic what? Performance. So when you mention the theory, then you tell us what the theory says about the relationship between the 2. And remember, we will dedicate a particular session to do what we call theoretical review. So you understand the theory in But what is a theory? What is a theory? You've heard theory. What is a theory?
It's an assumption.
Okay.
It's an assumption about what will occur. It has some evidence back in it. Assumption like Economist theories. If nothing happens, we hold everything constant. This is likely to happen.
So, okay.
Like that.
So theories, we don't really give definitions here. They explain why certain variables what relate. Theories explain why certain variables what relate. Why certain variables or concept what relates in research. And particularly for quantitative research. For quantitative research, you should be able to demonstrate why 2 concepts, 3 concepts are what relating in your study. And it's the theory that will justify why. And it's the theory that will justify why. So how do you get a theory? When you are doing a research, before you start, you don't even know anything about any existing theory. How do you even get a theory? You do what we call thematic analysis. Thematic analysis. So, in the thematic analysis, for instance, when you are doing thematic analysis for relationship between social media and academic performance, you have to go and download research and empirical studies that have looked at social media and what? Academic performance. Listen, this is more practice oriented. If you don't even have any idea about any theory, you just have to download papers that have worked on social media and academic what? Performance. And definitely these papers will be mentioning some what? Theories. Or this is being treated as a mediating variable. So you can equally look at studies that have treated social media multitasking as what? Mediating variable. And if you go into it, you will hear that they are mentioning certain what? Theories. And therefore, you have foreknowledge about the likely theories that will work in your context of study. And the journey of academic work is not laziness, so you can't be lazy and still shine. You have to sit down, be fast in your mind, read. I'm not saying go and read all the article before you get one theory, no. You just download the article. If you do the thematic analysis, for instance, you can do topic, author, and year, right? Like column like this. Then maybe theory. Is that not it? Unit of analysis. Methodology. Findings. And then maybe gap. Okay? So imagine that you have gotten 15 publications. We are looking at the topic or the scope of the research, looking at the years that they published them, and then the authors, and then the theory, and the unit of analysis, the summary of your research methods, and then your findings and research gaps that you identified. And if you do these things, at the end of it all, you get a lot of useful information that you can infuse in your work. And here I'm talking about the theoretical aspect. So you come and look at the theory column. You see that there are a lot of, or a number of theories that have been mentioned here. So those theories are likely to be used in your research area. Okay. So that is how we use the theory to establish the relationship. Then we also have another thing called the empirical evidence. Is that not it?
Yes.
Empirical evidence. Empirical evidence. In establishing the relationship, remember that in establishing the relationship, remember that some people might have done studies on it. So, a study by Lolo and Kofi Mensah 2026 found out that social media usage among UCC students or among students improves what? Academic performance. Empirically, you are building the relationship. You are giving evidence to show that that relationship exists. So you must get empirical paper. Empirical papers are articles that have been published, but they have the conceptual component, and people have collected data, raw data, okay? And they have analyzed this data, and they have come up with their findings and their conclusions. Is that not it? So you must get such papers and you cite them to support the relationship that you are establishing. Okay. I have done a paper in 2024. I have published a paper. So if I have a paper on social media, then I want to establish a relationship between social media and social media multitasking. And I have that paper. I can cite it. It's studied by Kofi Manu and Adwa Mensah, 2022. Discovered that the more businesses use social media, the more they're able to undertake multitasking through their social media. Is that not it? Yeah. Have I not established that relationship? Mm-hmm. So that is how we also use empirical means to establish relationship. So if you now see it clearly, all the things have been covered under your conceptual framework. Have we not? One, you have defined them, you have explained them, you have conceptualized them, you have also used something to build their relationship. Is that not it? What did we use to build their relationship? Theories and what? What else do we have? Won't people know about all these things? So we have introduced all the things to them, but there are some pertinent other relevant issues that we can bring to spice up the aura. Okay? So if you do all these things, I think you are good to go. People will look at that. But to make it more interesting, you can add other things. Okay? So let's look at some few things that you can add. You wanted to draw? Okay. So let's look at some few things that you can add. Then you can bring what we call contextualization. Okay? Contextualization. Here, you talk about things that will let people know the scope of the study and the context of the study, the geographical context of the study, and the history, the industry of the study. Okay? So, I made mention about so many things. I talk about school, I talk about industry, I talk about geographic context, right? Context. So what are some of the things that you can talk about to contextualize this? You can talk about brief history. Is that not it? You can talk about brief history for people to understand the context. You can talk about importance. Importance of what? Concepts. You can talk about current affairs. Current affairs on the concepts. You can talk about current affairs on the concepts. And all those things will try to what? Help you to what? Contextualize, make people know where, within what scope, within what industrial scope, within what topical scope, within what geographical scope that you are doing the research. So after you have done this, then the last one, we talk about brief problem. Brief problems or brief statement of the problem. Okay. Brief statement of the problem. You can add that one. Brief aspect of it. So when you're talking about social media use, what is the problem? When you talk about social media multitasking, what is the problem with social media multitasking? When you talk about academic performance, what is the problem with academic performance? When you talk about social media networking, what is the problem with what? Social media networking. You don't have to do extensive because right from the brief statement, we are going to the problem statement itself. So once you're able to talk about some of the issues that are interesting, issues that will warrant discussions, issues that will warrant that kind of logical argument and all those things, for you to synthesize your literature, then you end it there. Okay. So this is how we write the background. Is the story nice?
Yeah.
Any question? Any questions? I'll also upload the video online, so you can always access it and reflect on what you have done. So you see that the foundation of your research is your your conceptual framework. Once you get the conceptual framework out of the research phenomenon, then you begin by defining the key variables, explaining them, and conceptualizing them. After you have conceptualized them, then what else do? You can establish the relationship between the variables. Is that not it? And what do you use to establish the relationship? Theories and what? Empirical evidence. And then once you are done with it, then you come and talk about what? The context of the study. And the context I show you can talk about brief history. You can talk about the scope of the study. You can talk about importance and all those things. Then the last one, you do what you call brief statement of what? The problem. In order to build an atmosphere that will warrant discussion, that will warrant argument, that will warrant synthesis of literature. So that is what we do at this stage. Thank you. I'm sure you can do it.